Hey YouTubers, I had someone not very happy with my last video on my sweet potatoes because I only showed where I'm at with them currently. Keep in mind, I am absolutely new to all this, so I'm sharing the adventures that I'm having in growing and learning to produce food with you as it happens. So with that being said, I showed you that I had sweet potatoes that sprouted, and it looks just like this. Okay, and what I did is, this is my second sweet potato. This is my first one. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. The second sweet potato, and I have a third yet, but I'm not working with that. I've had this in water for just a few days, and as you can see, I've got some really nice root growth. So that is step one to getting a sweet potato to grow. Step two is going to be what I have here. This sweet potato has been left alone, other than keeping the water cleaned and topped off. Now this has been at least 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks now. But look at the root growth on this tomato. Yeah, it's not a tomato. It's a sweet potato, but the root growth is beautiful. Now, this is going to keep putting out stems, leaves, and this is what they call sweet potato slips. Now what we do here is we cut these off, and I'm going to cut a few of these off today because yes, I do want to grow some sweet potatoes. So with that being said, I'm going to leave a couple leaves on. You see this? I'm leaving a couple of those leaves on, and I'm going to cut it right there. Hopefully this limb will keep growing. I'm going to do the same with the second one. These are the longest ones, so these are the ones I'm taking. So I gotta get it up where it's not gonna fall on the floor. There we go. Now I'm going to remove a few of these leaves, but note the little, if my camera would focus here, there's little tannish colored nubs on these. That's where your other roots will come from. All I'm going to do with this phase is put them in a jar with water. But first, I want to cut those leaves off. So we're just going to cut a couple of the bottom leaves off. And remember, when you're propagating, the more leaves on your plant, the less energy goes to root. So we're going to take a couple leaves off of this. Now these leaves, I believe, are edible. You might want to research that though. I'm not going to eat them. Okay, now this particular one is almost bare with a few new leaves starting. We're going to leave it like that. And we're just going to stick it in the glass. I'm going to add some water. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to take the leaves off. The nice thing with sweet potatoes, if you get a bumper crop and you're not sure how to store them as far as keeping them as fresh potatoes, you can always can them. And once they're canned, you've got a long shelf life and you don't have to worry about them sprouting in your pantry or anything like that happening. I think I'm going to take one more, and this here is, it's a nice plant, and I hate to do this, but I want to show everybody how to do this. I'm going to leave a couple leaves down in the center and take this limb. Now once again, we're going to trim the leaves off. See, these leaves are coming off. I'm doing this one-handed because I didn't think to set my camera up on a base. I'm going to take a couple more and a couple more. Alright. And the reason we take the leaves off, once again, is to promote root growth on these. So I have 3 in that jar, and I'm going to leave the rest on the plant because the plant is still developing these. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to take this one off too. It's like giving the plant a haircut. They really don't mind. And this has been such a wonderful plant to work with. Okay, we're going to clean some leaves off. There we go. Here's another one. There we go. And this has a small leaf on. We're going to leave that on. Now that's a small slip, and I think that's probably a better size to start working with. The other thing you can do, you can take these slips while they're still on mama plant. That's mama. You can take these and put them in a pot and pin them down. And where they're pinned down, they're going to start taking root, and they could start producing potatoes that fast. Now, keep in mind, potatoes, sweet potatoes, are a longer term crop. But here's the key. You get this plant going, and you can keep cutting slips, propagating these slips. These slips, once they root, go right out to the garden. They get planted, and then they start spreading and leafing out, just like you see here. And you'll have a beautiful ground cover, number one. Number two, nobody's going to know it's a sweet potato vine. It just looks like a pretty vine out there. It's got some really beautiful heart-shaped leaves. So it could be just ground cover to the uneducated person. And I hate to say this, most people who grocery shop in a grocery store don't know what their foods look like while they're growing. So this is a hidden food source. You could do this in your front garden, your front flower beds. Plant this around your front flower beds, and when you go to harvest potatoes, just have a bag there like people think you're putting your weeds in, and you're putting your harvest in. Bring them in, wash them up, and be prepared to cook them or can them, or put them into some type of dry storage. This is one of those things, you get this going, you will have sweet potatoes in some areas almost year-round. Here in Florida, I think the potential will be year-round. I think Georgia would be year-round, and maybe even Louisiana and a few other states that do not get brutal freezing temperatures. But keep in mind, if you've stored sweet potatoes through the winter, by spring they may be budding out and they may be sprouting. They may start looking like this. If they do, they're ready to be propagated. They're ready to be grown, rooted, slips cut off. Try planting a whole potato as an experiment. I still have one that looks just like this that I have not put in the ground. It's just sitting on the counter, but it's still growing. Talk about a hardy plant. And you see the little purple leaves? This one's liking being in the water. It's putting off more leaves. So, this is step number one. Get it in water, get it rooting. Step number two, cut your slips. Step number three, put your slips in a container of water. Clean off the excess leaves. When these develop roots, step four will be planting them in the garden. So, when we get to that step, I hope to remember to video that step for you as well. But that's one more step in the phase of growing sweet potatoes. And sweet potatoes can produce a lot of great, healthy, nutritious food. Don't be afraid to try this. Sweet potato season is definitely here with the holidays right around the corner. Buy yourself a couple extras and have an experiment. If you don't want to plant it in the ground, plant it in a flower pot and enjoy the vine growth. Here's the key. As long as you have this plant growing in your house, in an SHTF situation, it takes next to nothing to get it growing and producing food in your garden. Alright, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this. If you do, like and share. And I'll be back with you with some more videos. Have a blessed day.